How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today got some sort of different types of mission gameplay. Got a bit of all sorts going on. There was I was heading there with the loaf to the, I believe it's called the factory, but there's like a bit of an obstacle course that you can go through, but you need something narrow like a scout. You definitely ain't getting through in a truck. A lot of the scouts I don't think you'll get through with, but yeah, we'll get there in a minute. Also, I was testing out. I usually stick the loaf in a sideboard bed, but I figured since I can just pull the winch nice and tight to the back of the flatbed anyway, then the loaf should stay on just fine. And yeah, I was doing a bit of rallying, and it was doing alright. It ain't falling off, I know that. Going along here as well, I always drive around this road, but it's actually... that was obviously like them trees I hit. One thing I do think they have improved is those trees seem to drop out the way quicker after you hit them, which is quite nice. Not 100% of the time, but it certainly feels better than it was. Yeah, normally I cut over to the left there, but like I was sort of testing it out and no real difference really. There is chunks of ice in that mud though that can get here. I mean, see, the loaf, it's got nowhere to go. Its front is just wedged up against that flatbed, so it ain't going anywhere. Which there just might be possibilities where it's easier to load, I suppose easier to unload, but yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, fell through the ice. I don't know about anyone else. Like, to be honest, I've been through here, I don't know, 7 or 8 times with the dolphin and loaf. This is the first time I've got stuck with the dolphin. I've been through it in all sort, like Navistar, the GMC, the Voron, the Taiga. I can't remember. I don't think I did bring the Tatrin this way. But yeah, does anyone think this ice is a bit thinner than the other stuff? Because even when I drove this up here, I mean, obviously, loaf straight into action. Yeah, I didn't even properly get on the ice before the front tyre just punched through the ice, which I don't think anything is like guaranteed not to go through, but I'd say a good 75% of the time I'm driving on light. I could have fell through there, but the loaf's usually not bad. Like, it's got pretty small tyres, like compared to others, but it's obviously a lot smaller. So yeah, it's like, it's not bad, but I definitely think this bit, I don't think I've ever made it across this bit without going through, but every other time I've mostly done it in the dolphin, and it punches its way through. That's what I was going to say though. You see, when I winched at first, it was just hoovering me in, which means that dolphin was like stuck solid, and then I was waiting 5 or 10 seconds, I was letting off the winch and putting it back on. I did a little like view around the loaf while I was waiting, and then when I winched again, as soon as I pressed it, you could see the dolphin just move a little bit, and it was like, I knew then, I don't know, it's a little bit like, I could be wrong, it's just a gut feeling, but it's like sometimes that physics thing that locks stuff in place when it's so far away from you. It's like it locks it in place a bit too well, and you have to cut. Sometimes having a couple of presses of the winch button seems to help. I was going to drive onto the back again. This is where they need how they had in MudRunner, where you like, for those of you that haven't played it, when you went to winch, you had drive mode and pull mode, I believe it was called. And obviously drive mode, when you connect a winch to another vehicle, it'll start driving like they do in this game. And then you had pull mode, where yeah, you just winch to a vehicle and it wouldn't run its engine or anything. And I'll admit, most of the time I used drive mode, but there was every now and then, and I can definitely see a need for it in this game, where yeah, it'd be nice if you could flick it over to pull mode basically, so it just, yeah, you don't have like the truck. Like, I could have got onto the flatbed then if the dolphin didn't start driving forward, but because I used it as a winch point. You see in there as well, like the loaf, I know, I appreciate I could have reached that tree with a dolphin, but if you imagine I was on the back of the flatbed, the dolphin can, the loaf can reach a bit further ahead, so I was able to like just shove the dolphin straight through that ice, breaking the lot. I think there as well, that hole in the road, I don't mind the hole in the road, but those concrete blocks, they just, like, you seen there how I could barely go slower than that. Like, I have to put enough power in to physically move forward, and it just absolutely nails you. They do need to turn the damage stats down or whatever on this game, the damage sensitivity or something. See, this is a prime example though. This is why you get yourself a loaf, because regardless of what I had at the minute, if I'd flipped like the dolphin, it doesn't always flip on a rock that bad, but every now and then, obviously, yeah, it's going to happen. That was a glitch though, it was not an edit, it was only like a half a second glitch or something, it was just in the worst possible place, apologies for that, but yeah, I would have had to have recovered to the garage and drove back, whereas now, it was like 10 seconds out of my way, and yeah, I'm back ready to go. So this is the factory place, and as you can see, there's 4 checkpoints I've got to get to, but I mean, it looks like I've already been here flying trailers and all sorts. There's loads of stuff all blocking the way, and yeah, it's like you ain't driving a truck through, or certainly not a path I've seen anyway. So that's why I brought the loaf anyway, even though, like, in case you haven't noticed by now, I tend to bring one with me anyway. Yeah, this is the gap where you got to get through at the start. I cocked that up, so I was like, well, ain't even re-attempting it. Loaf's a professional and he knows what he's doing. Yeah, you ain't going to get through that gap in like a Tatrin. Probably a Lodestar would struggle. Even the Hummer might struggle, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, you got this little sort of ramp to get over. And again, even the loaf was like near each edge of that, so yeah, possibly even the Hummer would be a bit awkward. I reckon the ones you could do is obviously the loaf, the TUZ166 is nice and small. The CK1500 could probably do it. So this is I think that's why the damage is so bad on them concrete blocks. If you see there, it's like the angle to get up it is even harsher than it looks. Like, you'll notice it on a few bits coming up in a few minutes, but yeah, it's almost, I don't know, they just need to tone them concrete blocks down particularly, but it'd be nice if the damage mechanics, it's like they've turned it up in the last few weeks, and yeah, I just think they've overdone it a bit. I don't really think it suits, like, you know, you're in the Dolphin, it's like a military grade off-road vehicle, and you tap the corner of a concrete slab that's a sixth of the height of your wheel, and then you take, like, nearly wipes your entire suspension out, and it's you'll see later on, I reverse into a bit of a rock, not very fast at all, and it even deletes my fuel tank, and it's like, my fuel tank's about 4 meters away from it, like, it ain't even close to it. Yeah, so they definitely need to calm that down. But anyway, we've got the first checkpoint going along it, and funnily enough, pipe's in the way, and I knew the loaf would be able to jump over that from doing the wall jump in Northport. So you see, in the end, no test is wasted time. In this map really, or not this map, sorry, this game, they're all open world maps. You've got vehicles that can theoretically go anywhere, and between glitches and other things as well, you can get all kinds of situations happening. So yeah, you never know when you need to know something. But I knew I could jump pipes, and I know I could hop over them, so yeah. Otherwise I might have even stopped then if I'd never done that, and tried looking for another way around, thinking that that was blocking the you know, that was like there to stop you. But yeah, stuff like this, it's obviously purposely been made as like a little bit of an assault course. I think it's pretty cool. Like, I wish they'd do more stuff like this. It's particularly nice that, because it's a very, well, I mean, it's not narrow in bits like this, but there's definitely places where, like, you're not bringing, yeah, the Tatrin, the Lodestar, etc. It's nice that it's basically makes you have to have a smaller vehicle, because obviously I love the Loaf anyway, it's my favourite vehicle, but for those that it isn't, and you probably or possibly don't use the TUZ166 that much, or the CK1500, this is definitely a place where the Scout 800 possibly as well, but you see bits like this are yeah, the Don 71, actually, that's one I forgot. I bet that'd be pretty decent, but you can put the tuned custom suspension on them, but if you put the biggest tyres on them, they might sit too wide. And can you see this bit? Like, you look as I go up, it's like sort of invisible, but it's a lot higher than it looks basically. So that's what kept just stopping me for a few seconds. In the end, the best thing was, rather than trying to turn left and right, just let you steer and face straight at it and floor it, and after like a second, if that, it started to climb up. So I tried jumping over the wall and tried squidging down like to the right of the screen now, but it was having none of it, so turn around. That's one thing I like with the loaf, you can just reverse into something in it. Mostly, obviously if you're on like deep terrain and stuff it probably wouldn't, but yeah, the Taiga can do that as well. It's pretty handy. So I'm off back out. So that's why you get yourself a loaf. That thing again, like the scrap that's scattered around. You see like this entrance here that's got scrap blocking it. Again, it's got like a larger hitbox than it look. You look when I jump over here, I'm on something invisible until I drop off like 5 foot after the actual scrap. But anyway, obviously that little ramp thing lets you jump out of there, but you ain't getting back in the same way because it's going to make you do the assault course route, but that's like just lets you jump out there instead of going back through. I wanted to jump out because I wanted to get that mission. And basically, this is pretty much one of the main missions of the night. And I'm going to do a couple of missions like in kind of a big loop. So I've gone to the trailer store down the road. It's good that it's down the road. I wish it was just in the bloody garage like the rest of them though, because yeah, it'd just be convenient to be honest. But at least it's not like on the other side of the map or something. Always grab some fuel, even if it's only 10 or 15 litres. It could save you bacon later. Yeah, so basically, I've grabbed a semi-trailer. I've also got the loaf that's got a fuel trailer and a roof rack. I'm taking metal beams because that's for... There's like a bridge that needs building on pretty much the opposite side of the map from the garage. And there's also... there's another mission on the way. As I go past... Basically, where you find the TUZ-16, there's some like oil barrels there that you've got to pick up, and then you've got to take that pretty close to where I just was in that factory, which again, it's all pretty much just like on the opposite side of the map from the garage really. So yeah, I was trying a few different things out with the loaf, so I edited a few bits out, but essentially I tried putting them on top of the metal bat. I was just testing all sorts of things, but in the end just about fits in. A bit of a tight squeeze, but he's there. And yeah, like I said, I've got my metal beams. I'm basically going to go to where you get the TUZ-16, past that, over the cliff edge, yeah, with the oil barrels, and then go and deliver them and then fix the bridge. Coming across here, to be honest, you can see a massive hole in the ice over there. I drove through about half an hour before, and the dolphin absolutely got stuck. I basically, which is what you want to try and avoid, is the right side of my wheels all dropped through, but the left side didn't, so I was tilted on a horrible angle, and I couldn't break the ice on the left hand side of my dolphin, and it just kept me tilted to where, like, yeah, half of me was just stuck so far in the ice I couldn't get out. Again, with the damage mechanics, I mean, it's like, what what did I hit there, an ice cube? Like, it's supposed to be some... Well, I was going to say it's supposed to be some military thing. It's not the dolphin, it's doing it with everything. The Taiga seems to absolutely obliterate itself sometimes. The Voron, to be honest, the Grad anyway, that's been, like, pretty decent. Yeah, it certainly held up pretty well. I was going to say, the reason I've been... well, half the reason I've been doing a lot of missions tonight is trying to save up a bit of money again, because... Review's coming up pretty soon. I'd like to do the Voron D pretty soon, and there's also the whatchamacallit, the Azov Antarctic, because yeah, there's a couple of people who've been asking that for a while, and to be honest, I left it for a while because I really didn't like the steering on it when I originally bought it ages ago, and I didn't think back then it was worth the money. And I'm not saying whether it is or isn't now. We haven't bought it again to test it, but yeah, I'm obviously earning some money, and I'll get it pretty soon. I'm hoping though, because they've adjusted like the steering. Again, thanks to everyone who told me in the comments. For those who don't know, if you go into your settings, you can set your steering settings to either like gamepad or steering wheel, and even if you're still on a remote control like I am, I haven't got a steering wheel. If you set it to steering wheel, your wheels in the game will auto center after you let off the steering. If you set it to gamepad, which is what it should be on, as you say you do full lock left and let go of the steering, it'll slowly drift back to the middle, but it sort of stays where it is. And yeah, to be honest, that's what the game was originally like, but then they kept messing around and changing the steering every week, and it was like every week I had to relearn the Taiga, relearn half the truck. It depends which truck you were driving as to how much you noticed it. I believe the Freightliner M911 thing is fixed now, so I'll give that a test soon. If you remember, the that thing disappeared on me, so yeah, I'll have to buy that back, but apparently that's fixed, which is a biggie. Like, that was the main issue with it. It was just horrible, so I'll test that again. And yeah, there is some other stuff, obviously. The Transstar, there's a couple of Scouts still. Yeah, there's still some trucks left, but they're the ones coming up soon that I'd like to get done. Interesting to see with the Voron D where it'll sit compared to the Grad and the Voron AE. It'd be interesting actually to try the Voron AE to see if the steering wheel setting makes any difference. But anyway, back to the mission in hand. Drove through here, grabbed these barrels. Do you know what? I didn't even notice those barrels were there, I think, when I grabbed the TUZ16. But they are. I could have put them in my trailer, but I'll put them on my head. Why not? There's room. Yeah, funny enough actually, the snorkel, it's kind of glitched through it a little bit, and it's like kind of holding it in place pretty well. But I mean, let's be honest, is that or is that not a pretty good hat for a dolphin? I mean, it's like its head was made for these barrels. And yeah, this is obviously, now I've got the oil barrels for the mission where I've got to deliver them somewhere, and then I've got the metal beams for the bridge. I've got a loaf on me with a roof rack to fix any damage. I've got a Scout fuel trailer, so I've got, well, like 1100 litres, and then I've got the roof rack and the loaf fuel, so I've probably got about, yeah, 1250, 1300 litres. I don't know why, I don't know if anyone else does this, but every time I get to this cliff, like, I really enjoy attempting this. And I always seem to stop before. It's as if I'm like just savouring the moment for a minute before I go hurtling through there. Touch wood, I've not gone flying off there, like officially hit the bottom before. Obviously the loaf the other day, he's goddamn professional, but he was pushing his luck. Yeah, let's put the loaf seatbelt on. Risky business driving around here. See, just for some reason I just need to enjoy it for a minute, and then I'm off. Already I was like, oh my god, I've fucked it. But we're good. It's times like this that chained are nice. Like, I don't know how bad these slippery rocks would be with muds. I haven't honestly tried it yet, but in fact, that's not strictly true. Well, it was off-roads anyway. I came across there in the P16. I made it over in the P16. I did have to use a winch to one of those trees on the inside, but right, you see that there? I just reversed, not very fast at all, hit that rock. Not only did it blow my tyre up and delete my suspension, but it broke my bloody fuel, which, as you can see, the fuel tanks are in the middle, nearer the front of the bloody Dolphin, so they need to calm that shit down, because it's getting... I wouldn't even say it makes it more difficult, it's just more of a pain in the arse, because it doesn't feel realistic, it feels well over the top. Luckily though, again, got a loaf with a roof rack, so I was able to fix everything. I've got tyres on the roof rack, but I forgot to use the loaf one. But yeah, it's, again, if I'd done that, especially the fuel tank, I would have had to have recovered to garage and drove back, because it doesn't matter if you're in the loaf or the Navistar, like, once you damage the fuel tank, it is actually a little bit... I thought it was about a litre a second. It's probably about a litre every second and a half, but either way, unless you're pretty damn close to finishing your mission, then it ain't really going to help you out. So, yeah, but luckily, had the roof rack, and we got sorted. I know this looks bad now, but this is like when my cat jumps up and I'm saying hello to him. I'm trying to drive one-handed. There was a bit like, I can't remember if I cut it out, but... Oh yeah, I did it. I was driving with Bruce. I was trying to itch my back whilst driving one-handed, and... yeah, it didn't go too well. I didn't roll, but... I didn't exactly make it through either. Nice little thumbnail there, maybe. So basically, this is the missions I'm doing. Obviously, you know where I'm just gone over the cliff. You got this place here, like, you see the little square that I've sort of just unearthed with a shot. I need to bring a radar trailer. I was nearly going to put a radar trailer in the semi-trailer as well, but there's also another mission where I needed wooden planks that I was umming and ahhing about. But you can see where I am. That's where I've got to take the oil barrels on my roof, And then, yeah, the metal planks again are for the bridge. I'm surprised, to be honest, the bridge only needs these metal planks, only one of them as well. Not that it bothers me, it's only a formality, like, it wouldn't have made much difference if I just had to put another set of metal beams in, but, yeah, it's, normally they are, or 2 stages to build a bridge, but yeah, it's still, it's cool, I'm glad I got it done. So it's a bit of a squeeze through there. This is basically, over there is those bunkers again. This is where I came through the other day when I was, yeah, I was with the Tiger, the Dolphin, Bruce, had the Loaf. Loaf was a goddamn professional. Got Bruce up on the bunker. You can definitely tell this map is a troll, like, in a good way, because mostly I still don't like the snow. They need to stop making that. I've drove enough through the snow tonight that, yeah, it's either got way over dialed resistance stats, or I'm almost thinking there might even be some kind of like pretty harsh speed limit cap on the thick ice, because if you're in something like Bruce that has got an advanced special, or the Tatrin won't feel it as bad because it's slower to begin with, like anything with the advanced special, you don't notice it a hell of a lot. If you put it in like high-low, you're about where like the speed it's going to let you go anyway. But when you're in something quicker like Tiger, yeah, Dolphin, the Voron, etc., it can be, I don't know, it just like, it seems to not matter how deep the actual snow is. Sometimes it only looks like it's like 4 inches up your tyres, but it's like, it's still making you go about 1 mile an hour for some reason. And again, it doesn't look realistic because you're just looking at this big off-road truck, like, how my M5 would drive through that, let alone a bloody gigantic 8-wheel drive diff always on military off-road truck. I was drawing them dots just then. I was so lazy with the last dot. I was looking around like, well, sod it, I'll just stick it on the factory, that's where I'm heading. Or I believe it's a sawmill actually, not a factory. You see with this ice as well, like, it's obviously there is like an island in the middle here, but yeah, it's not really pure water underneath. It's, like I've said, kind of a bit like a slush puppy or whatever, and then there's like rocks and all sorts under there. So I don't necessarily, not saying that's a bad thing at all. I would like to have a bit of ice where it is just pure water underneath. Be quite funny if it was even like pretty deep water as well, to where it's, say, gonna drown you to where you recover, or you're at least gonna possibly have to bring a crane along or something. But we'll see. There's plenty of future maps to what is there? Apparently there's another map in this phase of DLC called, I believe it's called something like Africanda or Africanda, I don't know, that seems how it's spelled anyway. And yeah, apparently that's the second map in this phase of DLC, and then there's 3 more phases after that, so I assume really, including if there's a second map for this one, we still should have at least 7 more maps to come before all the DLC's done. And then obviously, as and when they get mods sorted, I wish they would hurry up with mods. I'm still testing vehicles, and they've added new vehicles, so I'm not absolutely gagging for it, but I also do spend a lot of time you know, making videos and stuff, so I've got that to kind of distract me. But the only reasons where I think they need to add mods is just, say, things like the Ford F750. I assume most people can, not most people, sorry, people on PC could up it if they want to, and just all sorts of little tweaks and things that obviously people get to do on PC. And yeah, with console, say for example like the steering, they've been messing around with that and stuff. It's like, you could probably adjust the steering, I assume, if you can mod stuff, or you could certainly mod a truck of the same type that has better steering, because I've seen people do that. So yeah, it'd just be nice if we had mods by now, really. It'd also, it kind of ease the pressure off them a little bit as well, because like, I personally think this first phase of DLC should have come out nearer to when the Rift map did, but fair enough, they gave us the Rift map, so whatever, that sort of kept people going for a little bit longer. But yeah, if they added mods, now all the console players would have like the testing, like the proving grounds or the testing ground maps. You'd have theoretically thousands, if not more, of vehicle combinations and new vehicles that have been added and all sorts. So it just kind of eased the pressure off them a bit to hurry up with the next maps. Like, a lot of people have already completed everything on this map, and they're already waiting for the next one. Whereas I believe if they just did mods, obviously I appreciate people on PC have already got mods, but at least you have an option to keep yourself busy in the meantime. Also, while it's pretty much on this clip, somebody mentioned the other day, and I was saying I'll test it out and have a look, like, they said their Dolphin seems to just like keep returning to first gear and it can't really get up through the gears. I've been testing it out the last few days, and I don't know what, like, if their experiences have been exactly the same, but I don't think it's the Dolphin that's been tweaked or anything. I believe it's like, again, the resistance stats, like this road, or part of it anyway, was just ridiculously, like, I couldn't get up the gears, but then I've gone faster than that in bits of snow, and it just really wasn't letting me do it down that road, which, as you can see, is, well, yeah, there's nothing there blocking me. Again, get an M5 down, get a lowered car down there, so let alone this thing. And then now look, going on the snow, that it's not happening in this particular bit, which is, I believe, classed as shallow snow. But there's a couple of reasons. Maybe the deep snow resistance stats are kind of bleeding over onto the road, or they haven't, you know, accounted for the road, and the game just thinks that's purely off-road or something. I don't know, but I've still used the Dolphin on other maps and plenty of places on this map where it clearly does wind up to speed. I'm almost always in high gear in the Dolphin anyway. It's a nice combination where I feel certainly more than fast enough to where I don't feel impatient, but I'm not going so fast that, yeah, you can't keep up with the steering and you, like, it's going too mental. I don't know why I always do. Like, say I've just cracked through the ice, I chose then to start adjusting my oil barrels. It's like probably one of the worst places I could sit, but got a bit more of a fringe. I started to move them, I was like, to be honest, they ain't really going anywhere. If I've got the crane arm pinched down on it, then it doesn't really matter. And I have to say, tonight the Dolphin and Loaf have been bloody brilliant, because I've definitely been getting up to a lot of stuff, taking the piss a bit, taking some pretty iffy shortcuts, but they made it through it. This reminds me here though, one reason I do like towing the Loaf is because it's narrow, but you need to winch it to the back of your trailer, because as you see now, that'll be a Loaf anchor. I mean, he's on the other side, he's ready to go, he's resting up against the wall. But yeah, because I've not got the winch hoovered in, obviously there's more than enough slack in the rope that when I turn a corner like now, the Loaf just cuts the corner. But if I hoovered the winch in so the Loaf was pressed up against the back of the semi-trailer, it's basically just when you're driving a truck and you got, like, the semi-trailers the same width regardless, or most trucks are at least, you know, about this width. Yeah, the Loaf just sits within your truck width, so even if you go round a corner, even if you were scraping the edge of the semi-trailer on a tree or that telegraph pole, the Loaf would still make the gap, because it ends up, like, again, if you got it pressed up against the trailer, it's narrower than it. And yeah, it's just one nice thing that it never really catches. So I just detached the Loaf there because here's my checkpoint, and I'm going to turn around in a second and go back out anyway. You can see I've been here earlier, that's when I was checking out the missions. Yeah, it's a sawmill, that's why I grabbed myself some wood. I don't know what happened then when I grabbed the wood, unless I accidentally hit pack crane or something, but I'm pretty sure I was just supposed to grab some wood, and then that's what she said. And yeah, for some reason it packed my crane away. But you see, my kite flying days, I knew I'd be alright. Oh, that's one thing though. You know, with some missions, you can just, as soon as you touch the yellow square, it like takes the thing off you and completes it. Because this is actual cargo, it's gonna make me load it into the trailer. But for those of you who haven't seen the tips video or anything, you don't have to actually like detach the trailer and reverse and park it. Just stick it on top of the other cargo, click unpack and then pack. But yeah, cargo jumped in, dropped it off. And then now you can see towards the right of the screen, that's the bridge that wants the metal beams. To be honest, tonight has been going really nice, except right near the end of the night, for some reason, it's almost as if they'd done some like stealth patch midway through the night, or more towards the end of the night. Some trees started kind of glitching through my semi-trailer, but only glitching through a bit, and then it decided that it's now an anchor, and I was literally like, trees were just glitching into my trailer and stopping me. It was a bit of a shame. Like, it wasn't the end of the world. You'll see a little bit later in the video, but yeah, I've been getting all sorts done tonight. I've done about 6 or 7 missions. Like, after I did these wooden beams, then I started heading to where the wooden planks are needed, but I also grabbed the loaf. Like the knee-deep mission. I mean, there's balls deep, and then there's knees deep. If you're knees deep, you need to calm the fuck down. You need to think of others. Probably offer a cold flannel or something. See, going through here, it don't even look like it's deep snow, but it's just absolutely like, nope. Like I'm set to a speed limit that it just won't let me get over. I could be wrong on that, and I'm not necessarily 100% on that gut feeling, but just as I've started noticing more things tonight, it's yeah, it's a possibility. There's definitely something. Other people have mentioned it in the comments that the snow is too ridiculous, so it ain't just me. And yeah, here's the old bridge. Like I said, it only needs one piece of metal beam. Could have done it in a sideboard if I was just heading for this, but obviously brought like, well, I don't know, I mean, so like a long range cargo delivery Swiss Army Dolphin really at the minute. That's the bridge though, that's a little animation. Fancy driving on the bridge, just thumbnail possibilities. Yeah, the money, to be honest, some of the money on these maps are more decent. I still think they could be a little bit more, but at least it's more like, what's that, 4 or 5 grand. Again, it shrinks the screen when I'm recording, so it's the one time I need to see it, I can't. Yeah, like I say, did a little detour, grabbed the loaf. You need to repair it and refuel it, and you see that's the shape. It doesn't really matter, and I'll show you why later, but I was able to refuel it, but silly things like reversing into that rock earlier and it entirely deleting my fuel tanks and stuff. Like, the fuel tanks took over 90 damage on that hit, and this only needs 90 damage, or 90 repair points. So yeah, I would have been able to do it if it wasn't for the stupid damage mechanic. Look at this. It's tipping. Like, Jesus Christ, that was a handy place to leave the crane arm extended. Hit the telegraph pole, save my bacon. I wasn't particularly arsed now or anything. Like, it only takes, I don't know, 20 seconds to stick the wooden planks back in. The only thing I would say is this crane, they need to up the power of it, and it's been particularly shit tonight. Like, it just, for some reason, it keeps extending itself to full length. Like, I don't know why, but then it can't lift anything when it's at full stretch, and you have to keep trying to hoover it back in. Like, not hoover the winch, but retract the crane. I mean, that was my fault by then. I'm towing the loaf behind me. I could have not been so lazy and just stuck the loaf in the trailer or whatever, but I mean, look at it. It took one hell of a beating, but she's still going. The loaf don't let you down. Again though, imagine if I'd flipped now, it'd be like, god damn it, detach trailer, return to garage or recover, whatever, drive all the way back. And I'm only down the road really from where I need to be. And again, it was, I could have just winched this loaf the rest of the way. I was just being stubborn at this point, like, no. Because the crane was pissing me off. Look at it, the crane's fully extending again. It's like, I'm not asking it to do that. I was fully pulling back on the stick by then. I mean, even though it ain't my loaf, clearly it's loaf trained. I just jumped in that trailer, got around that scrap. Yeah, you see here, there'd normally be a mission square where I could complete the mission, but because I've not got the repair points at the minute, so I popped it down here. It's not going to matter because I've got other things to do around here anyway, so one day when I'm flying past with a loaf with a roof rack, I'll fix it and complete it. And then, yeah, now, again, I got the wooden planks. I was on my way to do that. And by this point, I was like, oh yes, I've been nailing these missions. Got plenty of them done, earned a bit of dough. If my amount of money ever flashes up, I've probably got more than that. Do you know what? I only realised tonight I've still got the P12. I thought I sold it the other day, but I didn't. I did sell the engine on it though. And that's I stuck a 15 grand engine back on that for a bit. Yeah, I've bought like obviously the fuels scout trailer, the this semi trailer. I've got a crane, so I can sell all them bits and bobs back if and when I want to. But rammed the tree out of the way. That's why it's always important to get one. Now up to this point, all night it'd been fine. If I turned, say, a bit of a sharp corner and there's a tree in the way, the trailer would just nudge against the tree and then drag itself along. And you can see now I'm just like there, just to the right of me is like the cliff that is pretty cool to try and drive over. And then now look, for no apparent reason, I start driving, that tree glitches through into my trailer, gets to about there, it's possibly hit the rear axles now, and it's decided nope. But then now I go to reverse. Well, sorry, I did actually try. At first I thought surely the loaf isn't caught because I've hoovered it up to the back of my trailer. It wasn't the loaf. Yeah, now around now noticed the tree, tried to reverse, and look at it, it's stuck in there so well, it's like my trailer is now pivoting around that. And yeah, not looking good. Trying to get out. Look, reverse into that. Oh, you'll see in a second. And then I believe that second tree to the left, that starts glitching into it and catching. Like, it was just all night was good, and then that happened. I mean, I was like, oh, holy mother of God. Like, yeah, skip. Even in fact, that was a glitch because even the computer was like, fuck that. But anyway, I was about to throw in the towel and think, sod it, but I was like, no, I've got a dolphin and I've got a loaf. This is not acceptable. So I did have JZ99 problems there. Smash it out of that tree. Yeah, I don't know why, because it's moaning about the video, because loads of people have just uploaded that song as their own song, as the song title and all sorts. Like, I have no idea. But it's not happy with it. Apparently it's saying the video's unavailable, so I've just removed it. I'll still show you this because this is how I ended up getting back out of these bloody trees. Yeah, drove down the hill, rammed the first one, drove back down, rammed the second trailer to get the tree out of the rear axles. Or sorry, rammed the trailer to get the second tree out of the rear axles. That's the tree I blamed. Overall, by now I've cut out about half an hour of my dolphin rolling and me spinning it around in circles with the loaf because it just did not want to dig in and tip over. Hit that tree though, did a nice little roll. Told the trailer to get its goddamn ass back on the hitch. And we're off. Well, we're getting there. Grab me a bit of wood. Not the first time, won't be the last. Got my fuel tank. Look at it, right. The loaf was facing backwards then. I drive forward. He's bloody turning himself around. That ain't me doing it. I wasn't even hoovering the winch in. I was stopping for a thumbnail or potential. So, goddamn thing is sentient, I'm telling you. Goddamn horse with a vehicle. Get yourself a loaf. Yeah, this last mission took, I don't know, about an hour and a half, 2 hours between falling in them trees and getting here. But yeah, it became principle by then. A game, if you're going to try and break me, I'll break your back and I'll deliver everything on this goddamn game. I mean, look at the damage mechanics, like, what? Because I hit that at half a mile an hour, twice. It's getting ridiculous, but Dolphin and Loaf, they didn't give up. I mean, goddamn professionals to the end. Dolphin and Loaf handled their business, like I said, lone wolf deliveries. Usually your cargo ain't my problem, but when a goddamn tree tells me I ain't delivering it, we'll see about that. Goddamn lone wolf deliverers.